What are some foods that most people have been eating the wrong way or not the way it was intended? When I eat string cheese, I make the strings as small as possible before eating them. It takes me an average of 30 minutes to eat one. An HR if I'm really trying to annoy my wife. When I was a kid, I was at a party. They had a huge seafood broil. I was first in line and got about 20 shrimp on my plate. I had never had shrimp where you had to peel the shell off, so I just started eating them. With the first one I thought it was disgusting but didn't want to seem rude for not eating the other 19, so I forced myself to eat the rest. After I was done, some people sat down at my table and all started peeling their shrimp, and that's when I realized I was an idiot. My grandfather enjoys eating lightly salted peaches with mayonnaise. If you didn't know there was a wrong way to eat a peach, now you know. My dad served us unripe fruit my entire childhood because to him firm equals good and soft equals bad. The first time I had a mango that was actually ripe, I was an adult and the experience was borderline orgasmic. Oh man, I absolutely hate unripe mango. That must really have been an experience. This is really relevant to me today because I just found out that my girlfriend has been buying smoked salmon for years then cooking it. Recently read where people were eating the fricking wax on babbable cheeses and I haven't been the same since. There was a comment a long time ago from a guy who found out in adulthood that you aren't supposed to eat the cupcake wrappers when someone looked horrified when he ate it. When I was a kid I wouldn't eat them, but I loved chewing them. We didn't have many sweets. When I first ate edamame I chewed up the entire pod and couldn't figure out why people enjoyed eating them. I didn't realize you're just supposed to eat the bean inside the pod. I felt so cool when I was able to teach my son this the first time he ate edamame. I mainly felt cool because I had been doing it wrong my entire life and had been corrected by a co-worker just 2 weeks prior. Apparently a pint of ice cream isn't meant to be a single serving. You can tell whoever said that to you to frick off. I've been eating tamales with the husk on for years before I saw the last post of this. No one ever corrected me, and some people 7 started to eat the husk too, like I had some inside knowledge about it. Speak Spanish, work as a chef. I'm freaking dumb. I still eat the husk though. Holy fiber. I saw a person eat a tamale with the corn husk still on it. Apparently many people do this. I had a roommate who put ketchup on his pizza. Now I completely understand that it has tomato sauce on it anyway, so ketchup doesn't sound too crazy. But one time I made a homemade chicken Alfredo pizza with white sauce and before even taking a bite he smothered it in ketchup. My friend eats popcorn by picking the fluffy parts away from each piece and discarding the seed center. Every time I tell him he's an idiot, but he's too stubborn to just eat a dang piece of popcorn like a human. How long does it take him to eat like a whole bowl of mayo? My buddy's stepdad puts sugar in his freaking mac and cheese. Sometimes I think about it and I can't sleep. The first time I tried sunflower seeds, I didn't know you were supposed to get the seed out and spit the shell, so I just chewed them up and swallowed them. Man, the following day deuce was a wee bit painful. Corn on the cob. Once you reach the end of each row, you must make that old typewriter sound ding and proceed to the next row. I eat it lathe style, not typewriter. Nuts should be cracked lengthwise, not on the sides, to avoid getting pieces of the shell mixed in with the nut meat. I can't quite picture cracking a nut lengthwise. Up until a couple of years ago, 22 currently, I thought you were supposed to bite the skin off the apple then eat it. If I didn't have a knife I would spend my time biting around the entire apple, spitting the skin out, then eating it. Yep, this is the kind of WTF I was looking for. If you eat salmon to have a healthy meal, it's more beneficial to leave the skin on. Just fry it with some salt pepper until it's crispy. My mom used to give the skin to the cat. That cat would lose his mind when he saw it coming. Okay, so this is more along the lines of me eating a certain dish the wrong way, but when I was little my mom would make French toast, except she would put chilies, onions and sometimes chicken on it. I grew up thinking French toast was a savory dish until I ordered it at a diner and it was sweet. I still like my mom's version of French toast better, TBH. Savory French toast sounds amazing. Not many people know, but you are supposed to remove the membrane that is on the bottom of a rack of ribs before you cook them. It makes them easier to cut and eat. And the satisfaction of taking it off in one rip. My older sister was telling me about how much she hated asparagus because it was so chewy. I asked if she cut the ends off and she said she did. It took a few more minutes of talking about the ways I like to make asparagus and especially the tops before I realized she was cutting the wrong end of the asparagus off. No wonder she didn't like it. Vegemite. As an American, I was tricked into eating some as a sandwich and was convinced it was just a food meant to prank people with. An Australian friend was alarmed when I recounted this and corrected the method for me. Oh god no, you don't eat it as a sandwich. You've got to get yourself a nice piece of toast, spread a good layer of butter on it, then just the tiniest scrape of Vegemite over that. And if you can get a slice of cheap processed cheese on there, even better. Please don't dismiss Vegemite until you give it another go. This same friend introduced me to Tim Tams and the Tim Tam Slam. So who was I not to trust her implicitly? I took her advice, and I'm glad I did. Ended up buying myself a little jar because dang, that's a nice little savory punch if you use it right. Vegemite sandwiches are a thing though. Some of us do eat it that way, but you don't put great thick globs of it on there. Also mixed with proper butter, it awesome. My grandpa would peel a green apple using this nifty little device, then salt it and put it on a stick and give it to me. Ginger with sushi. You're actually supposed to eat the ginger slices between eating the rolls of sushi so as to cleanse the palate. Although, personally I love putting ginger and wasabi on my sushi roll then eating it in one bite. Came here to say this. Also dipping nigiri in the soy sauce with the rice part. You dip the fish, not the rice. Sauerkraut. At least per my Bavarian meal take out of jar. Rinse lightly. Don't remove all the flavor. Saute onions and carrots. Mix in kraut and broth. Simmer for an hour or so until it's tender. Eat with gravy. It's a side, like mashed potatoes. Tell that to my relative who eats it straight out the jar. I don't take Oreos apart and lick the frosting off first. I just bite into them like a savage. Growing up I hated steak. My mom didn't want us having undercooked food, so steak was always well done. I was about 25 when I tried steak at a wedding that was cooked correctly. Now I love steak. I used to hate chicken for this reason. My mom would bake the heck out of it and it would be dry and rubbery. When I started cooking on my own, I went through a list of all the things I thought I didn't like and tried them again. I love you mom, but you need to learn to use a meat thermometer. To everyone who eats spaghetti with a little itty bitty smidge of sauce at the top with the rest completely dry and white, atone or be banned from cooking forever. Ladies and gentlemen of Reddit, do whatever you'd like behind closed doors, but please remember if you're eating a banana in public it's banana to mouth, not mouth to banana. Or contra. All public eating should be performed mouth to food, mouth to lasagne, mouth to popcorn bag, mouth to communion wafer. You have to devine shrimp, or else you're eating their poop. I mean you don't have to, it won't kill you, but it is poop. People eat hot dogs from the wrong side all the time. Freaking morons. Yeah, you just bite it straight in the middle like a normal person. Coffee. Right now, we are in the golden age of coffee. For thousands of years it tasted like butt-soaked ashes. If you have good beans, you can actually make a tasty cup without cream and sweetener. The first time I had coffee with my now wife I told her I liked it black like my mother. She just gawked at me. Hey, my mom never put cream in her coffee and that's how I grew up drinking it. She thought I was telling her my mother was black or making a lame joke or something. Frick, it sounds worse every time I tell this story. Lentils. Boil them fully into a curry and add little things to make them taste good. Spices, the way that South Indians do. Partially cooked lentils with no flavor. Why bother? My ex hated lentils and refused to let me cook him any kind of curry with them even though I have an amazing recipe. Like, sorry your dad fed you undercooked lentils in a bowl with salt and pepper but we're adults now. Try it cooked correctly at least once. When I first moved to Vancouver a bunch of new Chinese friends took me out to eat. They started ordering a bunch of dishes which I quickly found out was meant to be shared among everyone. I realized the very few times my family and I went to eat at a Chinese restaurant and ordered dishes for just ourselves, we were doing it very wrong. You're supposed to wait for the pizza rolls to cool down before you put them in your mouth, not after while you're doing the dragon breath thing trying not to let them touch your tongue. I believe I've heard it called the hashashisha. Some people eat donuts rather than giving them to me, which is what you're supposed to do with them. Line for apple fritters starts here, guys. Line right up, no pushing, I'll take them all. As a child I always scrape the frosting off of cake before eating it. Still do if it's especially thick or sweet. I want to taste the cake. My dad believes steak should be well done, and by well done, unseasoned shoe leather. Growing up I never could fathom why anyone loved steaks, and why they were such an expensive treat at the house. My dad would buy these beautiful, thick cut ribeyes, then toss them on the flaming grill with no seasoning, cook them on one side for 7 minutes, flip, then other side, till they had shrank half their size and were charred. Then he would berate us for using sauce because it covered up the flavor of the meat. No, Scott, your inability to cook on a grill covers the flavor. It wasn't until I was 18 and living on my own that I tried to grill my own. Seasoned with garlic powder and salt, flipped on the flaming grill often and butted between flips, taken off when I was tired of waiting. I had my first medium rare steak that melted in my mouth. I have never let my father cook me another steak since. I eat kiwis with the hairy skin on. My mom said I seemed to like it, so she wasn't going to stop me. Later on I find out that I'm a freak of nature for doing it, but I still eat it that way because I just like it. The only downside is that since I like the texture of the hair and skin, I have forbidden fruit moments when I'm looking at the abdomen of a tarantula. If you steam Brussels sprouts and also don't salt and pepper them, of course you don't like them. They need to be charred and on the brink of almost burnt for them to be good. Olive oil, salt and pepper in a 450-degree oven, cut in half. Cook for 10 to 15 minutes. Personally, I like mine pan fried on high heat with salt, lemon, garlic, and some red pepper, and the slightly burnt leaves that get crunchy are totally the best part. It's not traditional to eat Thai food with chopsticks. They use a fork and a tablespoon. Stop asking for chopsticks in Thai restaurants. Good to know. I can't eat pad Thai with chopsticks, but ironically they always give them with the other utensils anyway. Glad to know I shouldn't be practicing. You've been visited by the toothpaste man for good teeth and fresh breath. Commento fresh. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.